Peter Strzok, you can take down all of your tweets. It doesn't matter. This is the FBI guy. Remember Lisa Page and Peter Strzok? They kind of had that happy little relationship that wasn't so happy. Yeah. Peter Strzok taking down everything. Just as John Radcliffe, the head of the CIA, told my friend and former colleague Maria Bartiromo this over the weekend. I want you to listen really hard because this is a big deal. And she got it out of him. In other words, we want accountability. Accountability, that is the name of the day. Okay? Listen.
So what I think I hear you saying is there is still an opportunity for indictments, potential prosecutions, accountability from those people who may have lied under oath, like John Brennan, James Comey, and perhaps Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's why I've made the referrals that I have. DNI Gabbard has made referrals, and why we're going to continue to share the intelligence that would support the ability of our Department of Justice to make bring fair and just claims against those who have perpetrated this hoax against the American people and this stain on our country.
Director, one other question on this. Tulsi, as well as President Trump, used the word...
You heard that, right? I heard that. Tulsi has used the word treason, by the way. That's where she's going. Because Tulsi, she's not taking this sitting down. I mean, don't forget, they're the ones that called her a Russian spy, former member of the military, Tulsi Gabbard. She's a former Democrat. But she was too threatening to Hillary Clinton. So what did they do? They tried to turn all this Russia craziness on her. I mean, she's seen it before. And now the former attorney for Donald Trump, David Schoen, he was on Newsmax saying, you know what, accountability is coming and it will happen. And here's the thing, Obama, because of what the Supreme Court decided on, not being able to go after presidents after the fact, it would be much harder to go after Obama. But guess what? Everybody else, including perhaps Hillary Clinton, is fair game. Watch.
Yet they went and testified before Congress that they believed he had. So what kind of accountability repercussions could Obama, Comey, and Brennan at the least face?
Let's put President Obama to the side just for a second. As for the others, I mean, if the evidence really shows what is being talked about now, and it can be proven, then certainly those others could be charged with seditious conspiracy under 18 U.S.C. 2384, undermining our government, undermining the will of the voters, certainly obstruction of justice, certainly perjury. They'd all be entitled to the presumption of innocence, but those are the kinds of charges that could be brought.
Wow. So this is getting serious. I mean, and again, it needs to be serious. It needs to be serious because of what they did over and over again and how they tried to take down someone. I mean, I'm still waiting on, for goodness sakes, Letitia James and that $500 million and that ridiculous settlement that they had in New York. That was her way of trying to take him down. Think of how wrong that was. By the way, all while she was allegedly committing mortgage fraud herself. I mean, the irony of that one. But don't forget for 2 seconds. I'm just going to play this 15 seconds of it because it's astonishing. It's astonishing the narrative that they tried to weave together and to sell to the American people. And you know what? Here's what's great. Here's what's great for the American people. They weren't buying it. They knew it was lies.
Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election. And he was put into office because the Russians interfered.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
The president-elect, although legally elected, is not legitimate.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You said you believe that Russia...
All right? So that was a total way to try and undermine the will of the American people. That, I think, is probably the biggest scandal we have ever had, certainly in modern political history. And what's amazing to me is they kept it up. They kept up all the lies. They just lied. They're like, okay, Hunter Biden's laptop, which was Hunter Biden's laptop. And by the way, the FBI was investigating him already, and they knew it was his laptop. And yet, what did they do? I mean, this is unbelievable, the deputy director of the CIA, along with Comey and Brennan and the whole crowd, right, coming out and saying it was nothing but misinformation fed to you courtesy of the Russians and Rudy Giuliani, even though they knew it was real. And they got 51 ex-spooks to sign off on that. And then during the actual debate in 2020, Biden kept going back to it. And he was pushing the misinformation. He knew it was his son's laptop. He knew his son was being investigated by the FBI. And yet we heard this.
Talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
I have to respond to that.
Please,
because look,
very quickly.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what.
Is this
that's
where you're
exactly
going?
what.
This is where he's going. The laptop is Russia.
Gentlemen, I want to stay on the issue of race.
You have to be kidding. Here we go again with Russia.
We're going to continue on the issue of race.
I mean, it's actually kind of comical, right? Because she's like, no, I actually want to talk about race. Let's get back to race. And Biden's like pushing this whole Russia thing, I mean, which was all fake. We all know, I mean, you want to talk Russia? We can really talk Russia. We can talk about Putin's dirt on Clinton. How about that? I mean, if he really wanted to do Hillary Clinton in, I think he would have gone with this little doozy, number 1, right? Page 17 from Tulsi's release there. This is unbelievable. The Russian intel that was apparently acquired on Hillary Clinton. The top one just really throws me. Internal claims that Hillary was on heavy tranquilizers and suffering intensified psycho-emotional problems. Wow. You know, that actually helps make some things make sense. Right? You know, we see her occasionally and she didn't look so steady and she looked kind of out of it. And we heard some things about her temper, this, that, and the other. Well, page 17, it's got it all. It's got it all. And Tulsi's right. You know what? This can't happen. This just actually can't happen in a democracy. You think about what Dan Bongino was tweeting the other day, and I know we were all suspicious. Was he talking about Jeffrey or was he actually talking about other things? He later specified that he was not talking about that one particular scandal that has engrossed the Democrats and some members of MAGA alike. He wasn't talking about that. He was actually talking, he said, about this sort of broader overall system. And he said, we can't run a republic like this. Well, you can't run a republic like this when people are doing things that Tulsi is now telling us and making us aware of. I mean, you got to have indictments coming forward for these folks. Watch.
There's no question in my mind that this intelligence community assessment that President Obama ordered be published, which contained a manufactured intelligence document. It's worse than even politicization of intelligence. It was manufactured intelligence that sought to achieve President Obama and his team's objective, which was undermining President Trump's presidency and subverting the will of the American people. So yes, next week we will be releasing more detailed information about how exactly this took place and the extent to which this information was sought to be hidden from the American people, hidden from officials who would be in a position to do something about it. And that's really the point here that I think is most important, Maria, and you said it in your opening. Accountability is essential for the future of our country, for the American people to have any sense of trust in the integrity of our democratic republic. Accountability, action, prosecution, indictments for those who are responsible for trying to steal our democracy is essential for us to make sure that this never happens to our country again.
Hello? Yes. Yes, 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 and yes. And I realize, we don't want to be vindictive, right? But how do you ensure that this doesn't happen again? In other words, it deserves a punishment. It deserves to be called out. You can't allow for whoever's, and it works both ways, right? It's not a Republican or Democrat thing. And this is another point that Tulsi has made. It's not political. Heck, she was a Democrat, for goodness sakes. Watch.
Investigated, some arrested and jailed. We had heightened and increased.
I'm going to go back to the beginning of this one.
And I just want to start by saying that this is an issue that is important to every single one of us as Americans. This is not a partisan issue. It has to do with the integrity and the strength of our democratic republic. And it lays out this over 100 documents that you're referencing that I released, declassified and released, spells out in great detail exactly what happens when you have some of the most powerful people in our country directly leading at the helm, President Obama, and his senior-most national security cabinet, James Comey, John Brennan, James Clapper, and Susan Rice, and others, essentially making a very intentional decision to create this manufactured, politicized piece of intelligence with the objective of subverting the will of the American people who in November of 2016...
You can't do that, okay? Like, you can't do that. And you certainly can't ever do that again. Obama couldn't take the fact that Donald Trump had won. Hillary Clinton couldn't take that fact. And so they came up with, well, a whole other set of facts. And they blamed it on Russia. And they said, Russia is the reason Donald Trump won. And that had nothing to do with anything. Anyway, there will be accountability. You better believe it. And we're going to be all over it here every day on this show. Because you know what we have to be? This is part of protecting the American system and our great republic.